They aren't as young as they were anymore. That was the reaction from one insider after Georgia's huge win over the Vols on Saturday at Neyland. Often imitated, never duplicated. Another edition of what we're hearing for you here on Dawg Post. Make sure you're checking out the article down below. I'm going to break down some of it, talking about the noise at Neyland. Did the Redcoats play Rocky Top? What was the reaction like after the game from everyone? And what is going on moving forward with the Alabama game? So I'm going to try to cram all this in here for you. You can read all of it in written form. The link is right down below. You can try Dawg Post for 30 days for $1. So I take advantage of that right now while you can. One of the biggest things from Saturday is there's always been an acknowledgement from people at Georgia, even certainly around the program, if not in it, that this is a younger team. This is a Georgia team that doesn't have tons and tons of experience at Georgia together. You talk about I'll put it on the screen right now. I mean, like, who's the person catching the ball right there? He is a transfer. Who is the person that scored a touchdown, the game-winning touchdown? He is a transfer. So the transfer portal paying off for Georgia right now. You have to say if it's not really been an even trade. The guys who left Georgia, I don't know if they're making impacts at their team. I know that the transfers that have come into Georgia have. With London Humphrey's catch, that was just an amazing catch from a guy that, Georgia folks have said, he can get going. And now we saw that. Gunnar Stockton, that was a great ball from him. But in the article, a lot of the stuff that we talk about in here is just insights and comments from, folks who are either inside the program or sort of around the SEC talking about that win. One thing I want to talk about for a second, because I really didn't talk about it a lot, was Saturday night. It's hard. Okay, so there's the river side of Neyland Stadium and there's the non-river side, the campus side. And the river side, T. Martin Drive goes right into the stadium, and over the top of that is this giant scoreboard where Tennessee shows things. They did not show the last play of the game at all. Immediately, for those of you watching at home, you saw that Josh McCray had scored. Well, at Neyland, I mean, I was on the field. I didn't know that he had scored. Colby Young knew immediately that he had scored. He's the first person on the field that, besides McCray, probably, and even when you're, I've never played running back in the SEC, but you can tell if you've done something typically in sports. I'm pretty sure he knew it, but Colby saw it, and his hands were up immediately. But on the telecast right away, you could hear Kirk Herbstreit say, hey, "That's a touchdown. This game is over." And McCray was saying to everybody on the field, not on the sideline, that he had gotten in. So he was pretty sure. But sometimes guys are think something happened a little bit more than necessarily it did. Maybe they thought they got it. Colby Young was certain because he was running straight in down the line. He had a great shot of it. And that set off a celebration that, the Tech game last year and I guess the Texas game last year, those both were the same way. But this was a delayed. When Nate Frazier scored against Tech in the 8th overtime, everyone knew the game was over. What was so bad for Tennessee, they did not show it on the Jumbotron. They knew immediately. Anybody that was watching it at all on television knew from that camera angle, boom, this game's over. No one in the stadium knew. Now, Georgia thought that they had scored. The staffers that were on the sideline, they thought he had scored, and they were pretty sure of it. I guess the official just didn't get a straight look at it, perhaps because of where Colby Young was. There was not a bunch of trash kind of between where McCray scored and where the official was running in from, but I couldn't see the wide angle. It could be possible that there was some chicken fighting going on with Colby Young and the Tennessee defender that blocked the official from ruling it a touchdown immediately, or maybe he felt like, let's just go to the replay. But it was pretty clearly a touchdown on television for sure. So let me get into this other stuff too. There were two more things I wanted to talk about specifically, and there's a bunch of stuff in the report. Again, you can get 30 days of the site for $1, so go ahead and check that out. today. A lot of people still signing up, taking advantage of that great deal. After the game, okay, so immediately the Redcoats struck up Glory, Glory. And soon thereafter, Tennessee always plays Rocky Top after the game. At least the games I've been to, Tennessee pretty quickly plays Rocky Top. The Redcoats had gotten through, I think, all of Glory, Glory. And there was a lot of, Glory, Glory is Georgia's fight song, by the way, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. So there was a lot of speculation on Sunday that the Redcoats had played Rocky Top to troll Tennessee. So I've dug in about this. I have not gotten an official word back. I'm sure I will get an official word, but I can't, we have a schedule. So that almost certainly did not happen. And let me explain to you why that almost did not happen. Well, let me explain to you why people would get confused. At Tennessee, unlike other places, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Tennessee has massive speakers that are on field level that surround Neyland. I think there are 8, but there are not fewer than 6. And they are so loud that when I walk by them and multiple photographers walk by them, you do have to cover your ears, or it can be painful. It depends if it's ambient noise or if it's some sort of hype music they're playing, or even the Tennessee band can be pretty loud. It's not as loud as the hype music. So you cannot play over that music. You cannot play over the speakers. It is that loud. And so it could be that when the Tennessee band was playing Rocky Top, in fact, I'm pretty certain this is what happened, when Tennessee was wrapping up, if you showed the Georgia band, you were not hearing anything other than what Tennessee was playing, which was almost certainly Rocky Top. Now, the Tennessee folks, and I got nothing bad to say about Tennessee, so please don't get into your feelings right now about this, Tennessee people, okay? Because y'all really get a little too sensitive about this. Those are speakers. There's proof on the screen right there. That is not an AI image. I can assure you there are hundreds or dozens of people that walk by these. I mean, the camera operators, anybody who's on the field, on the visitor sideline, anybody who's on the first 15 rows at Neyland Stadium knows those speakers are the real deal. It is very loud all the time. They pump in ambient noise with microphones from the student section and the band. So they're capturing the band, which is in the student section, and that's where all the ambient noise is coming from. So it makes it even louder, particularly if you're walking past it, and it just sort of echoes back and forth off of the stands and so forth. It's an extremely loud environment, mainly because there's 100,000 people there, 100,000 plus, but those speakers don't hurt. I mean, you can't hear. You cannot hear at all. So that is almost certainly why there's some confusion about that. That even if you were particularly if you were on the field like I was after the game, if the Redcoats have their instruments up, you would think they're playing, and you would hear something different. It might be Lil Jon and East Side. I mean, you might hear something, but when another college band is playing, that's what it seems like the band that you're looking at is playing the game. So this is where people get confused. The Redcoats online swore that they did not play it. I've done this for a long time, as I say often. I have never heard Georgia's band play or troll the other team. They just don't do that. Georgia, one insider told me that would be something that's very frowned upon if they did that. So I am really, 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 really beyond skeptical that actually happened. And the Redcoats have spoken for themselves. I don't think there's a reason to put a statement out or anything like that, but I think that's exactly what happened. In addition, on Saturday night, I was describing to you Neyland Stadium. I'm going to try to put it on the screen. Hold on one second. So just one thing, Tennessee's athletic director, Danny White, apologized to Tennessee fans about the stadium entry. That was horrific. That was as bad as Alabama a season ago, and the president was there, or a former president at the time was there, and you had security protocol. That was really bad. Tennessee was almost as bad as that. Like, that's not acceptable. Okay, so here's Neyland on the screen, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I don't think you can. The bottom right-hand corner down here above this parking deck, that's the scoreboard. T. Martin Drive down here, that is where the scoreboard is in this area right here. This is where the Georgia locker room is, okay, y'all? This is where the Tennessee band section is, and the students. This is where the the Redcoats are. This is the photographer's lounge is underneath here. This is where the visiting team goes. The post-game locker room situation is somewhere underneath these seats in here, okay? And you could hear Mike Bobo through the cinder block after the game when we were talking with Georgia players. He was so excited. Mike has a very distinctive voice, particularly when he gets excited after games. And he could not have been louder congratulating those guys up there. And I want to make sure that the reason why I tell that story is the coaching staff at Georgia, whether you're talking about, Todd Hartley, Mike Bobo, Kirby Smart, these guys all saw a lot of not fun times against Tennessee, particularly Kirby and Mike. Those two never beat Tennessee as a player. They both have, really good coaching records against them as assistant coaches, as well as, in Kirby's case, a head coach. But that game does matter to those two guys in a way that I think people don't appreciate. I think it's easy to explain Georgia Tech, Florida, and Auburn. I think Tennessee is different than South Carolina or somebody like LSU or Alabama. There's a lot of scar tissue left from the 90s with Kirby and Mike specifically. In 1995, when Tennessee beat Georgia, when Robert Edwards got hurt, that was a game Georgia should have won. And to lose it on the last play of the game, a great college football game, but the way that Tennessee won that game on the last play with a field goal, that was, I'm sure that was jarring and difficult. And, in 97, when Georgia was good, they had no answers for Tennessee. And then in 98, they both come into that game undefeated. Mike was gone, but Kirby was still there. And Tennessee just, rolled Georgia. I think it was 22-3. All this is going off memory. But there's still plenty of scar tissue left there. And, this game matters for sure for those two guys. It's a shame this game won't be played every year. It almost certainly will not. But this game right here that we just saw will live on for a long, long time. You can read more about it on what we were hearing. You see the graphic on the screen earlier in the video. Take advantage. Thanks for watching.